the Ricochet effect. Ricochet effect, like Ricochet effect.
Yeah. We having conversation with no moderation. Love to the communities, the Ricochet effect. Having conversation with no moderation. Love to the communities, the Ricochet effect. Having conversation with no moderation.
Hi, this is Renee Cobb, and
I'm Dr. Abini El Amin, and we are with the Ricochet Effect.
the WUKY 2024 Women of Distinction kicks off in the month of March for Women's History Month. Well, awesome. We are here at WUKY tonight, and I am so honored and proud to have my friend, and I will say fellow classmate from UK I don't want to say the date, Dawn.
Yeah.
Early 80s.
Remember it anyway.
And I just really want to thank you for that time as well, because it's such a great memory for me, and I continue to tell that story.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
Dawn is also the subject of a documentary film that we've been making here at UK as well with the Oral History Library. So I'm so glad to see you here tonight.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about the trajectory of your career, and you also have some exciting news that you've just shared this week.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, I've been on that whole cheer, dance thing all my life. Did all of that through college, after, coached, and, have just enjoyed everything. I couldn't even, call any of that like a job or whatever, because it's just been such a great thing to be able to be around so many different people and to become, family members with everyone. So I've been doing that for quite some time, right out of, probably when I was 16 is when I started, and, did every level, every age of coaching. And I just last week officially retired from coaching dance at the University of Kentucky. So bittersweet.
Yes. Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
You impacted a lot of young females' lives. And for some females, and actually most, it's just a spirit of community. We can say it's all about competition, but it's really not. It's about collaboration, and also not about what I call pie slicing, but making the pie bigger, right?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
When we're at our best, we up everybody else's game. And I know that that's a philosophy that you've ingrained. Let me just kind of ask you, can you share, this is probably really hard, but I think I know the answer. Can you share a memorable achievement or experience that you've had, not necessarily as your time as a dance cat, but just over the trajectory of your life?
Oh my gosh. Wow. I've been blessed to have so many. I mean, and they've been on all different levels, whether it was personal level, as far as if I want to stay in that whole realm of cheer and dancing, the very first year that we won nationals at UK. That was huge. The very first time that my all-star gym with my little 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds and a little bit older won their first of 5 national titles when I was coaching them for my gym. That was absolutely fantastic. National championship with my Wildcat dancers in 1995. That was really special because so many of those kids, they were college kids as well, and they had never been through anything like that. So around that time, yes, did I still love, as a competitive coach to win a national title, but not for me. Everything really changed, after that, probably the first 1 or 2 different national titles. Then it was just so awesome to have kids that did it for them. And I think that's the only, that's probably just one sad thing that I have for my kids here. We were so close in 2017. We've been close and back and forth. And, it just, everything's subjective when you get into competition and things. So that is just something that I wish for them that they could have had. But I've just been blessed with so many that I honestly, you know what?
It's hard to pick one.
Yeah, it's hard to pick one. It's hard to pick one.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here tonight. What does it mean for you to be here this evening?
Oh, wow. I'm honored. Any time that you're recognized for anything, it's just, a huge honor and very humbled.
Thank you for being with us here tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So we are WUKY, and we are celebrating a wonderful evening of Women of Distinction.
Hey, my name is Abby Lobb.
And Abby, tell us a little bit about your career, and also what are you looking most forward to seeing and doing tonight?
Oh, I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of other people right here in Lexington, other women. We all get so stuck in our day-to-day lives or day-to-day work, so it's just really nice to interact with people outside of that. And currently I serve as the communications director at Asbury University, and prior to that I worked as a freelance writer and photographer, journalist right here in Kentucky since 2005.
Well, I followed you. I love your work. I love your
Thank you.
photography, and I love that you were able to cover the Asbury Revival in the way that you did last year. Yeah, are there any women of distinction that really come to mind as you think about your career and the trajectory that it's taken?
Really, I think a lot of the women who I know who are like me, who are moms, who, had to just make decisions to take care of their families above everything else. And I just really admire other moms like that who have just had to really make a lot of, sacrifices and hard choices and a lot of sleepless nights. And my daughter's actually here with me. Hi, baby. And, it's just those women, I think, are ultimately just so strong and courageous, and then all the other women who in those seasons of my life who supported me and just were cheerleaders. Yeah, there's too many to name.
Yeah. Well, we're so thankful that you stopped by, and we will look forward to talking about your journey more in depth when we bring you back.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. So we are WUKY, again, celebrating Women of Distinction this evening. And I have now in the broadcast booth, I have Tanel Sawyer. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Let me start off by asking you, and you've got a little helper here too. Who do we have here?
This is Silas Sawyer.
Oh,
She's my
goodness.
2-year-old.
She looks beautiful. And you both are color coordinated and looking
Yes.
just awesome.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, what does it mean for you to be here tonight at Women of Distinction?
Absolutely. It's such an honor, especially when you think about the way in which you all described what it means to be a distinguished woman, thinking about resilience and using that resilience to make a difference in the community. And it's really everything that I am. I feel like the way in which you all described a distinguished woman embodies who I am and why I do what I do, because it's definitely based in, struggles, hardships, and how you use those for good in the community so that hopefully less people will have to experience maybe some of the things that you did in your own life. So opening doors for access and equity and opportunity is one thing that I really stand for. So I'm really, truly honored to get this nomination.
Tell us about your professional life and for our audience that is not familiar with the work you've done.
Yes, absolutely. So my current role, I'm the Associate Vice President of Workforce and Economic Development for the Kentucky Community and Technical College system. So Bluegrass Community and Technical College is probably the most familiar to Lexington area, and it is one of our 16 community colleges. So I like to say that I live at the intersection of business and industry and higher ed, really focused on how do we, bridge the gap between what workforce is looking for and how we are creating talent to meet workforce needs.
That's outstanding. Just in closing, let me ask you, can you think of any women of distinction that have played a really key role in your life in helping you get to where you're at?
Absolutely. I mean, even my own mom, my sisters, watching my sister was a teen mom and watching her really just be resilient in her own life. She's now a registered nurse, and I'm always just so in awe of the way that she's navigated life. My mom as well, and just watching her, raise us and putting us first. I feel like a lot of times, and now that I am a parent, you don't recognize the challenges that your parent experiences, because a lot of that, they mask or don't want you to see. And so I would definitely say that. I'd say from a fangirl standpoint, Michelle Obama, always a fan.
We've had that one mentioned before here too.
She has so much poise and grace, and her leadership and the way that she leads is just admirable. So absolutely.
Well, thank you for taking a few moments before we have this wonderful celebration to say hello. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So we are WUKY, and we are celebrating a wonderful evening of Women of Distinction. And I have the amazing honor of having Kentucky author. Are you a poet as well?
Yes, and an organizer.
Oh, that's awesome. And this is Belle Townsend. Welcome so much to WUKY tonight for Women of Distinction. And let me just first start off by asking you, what does it mean for you to be here this evening?
Yeah, I think that it's really important to recognize the work that people are doing whenever we come from different identities. And I think that especially recognizing women whenever we have so many different priorities in that identity and expectations around that identity. So being able to really highlight that and show what different kind of women can really look like and do is really important to me, yeah.
Well, I gave the cliff notes of what you do in your introduction. Would you expand on that a little bit and talk to us about your career?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've worked on 9 election cycles in Kentucky and Massachusetts, and through doing that, I met a lot of different people, and I've always had a disposition to write. But in meeting so many people, I learned a lot about how to talk about things in a way that reaches people very simply, and I think that that's all writing is. So, yeah, I've written 3 poetry books, Push and Pull, The Observer Effect, and The Holy and the Humdrum. And I also am a writer for Queer Kentucky. I'm their political correspondent, and I am covering all of their anti-LGBTQ legislation in the Kentucky legislative session this year. And I did it last year as well. And then I also like to take all of that and digitize that content and share it online and really expand the conversations that we can have both in real life and online.
Well, Belle, let me ask you, because there have got to be probably some women along the way that have been women of distinction in your life. Can you recall who a couple of those people are and what have they meant to you?
Yeah, the first person I think of really is my mom and also my grandma. I think that both of them, I witnessed them prioritize investing in their children, but also in developing an identity and a career of their own. My grandma owned a hair salon. My mom's an educator, and I've watched both of them stay committed to that, even though they had to juggle being mothers. And also, I had a teacher in high school for all 4 years who was an English teacher who really pushed me to write, and she did a lot to push the quality of education that everyone had at school, not only just me. So that was Miss Cheryl Dawson as well.
Do you know anyone that's here tonight that's amongst the group?
Yeah, so I actually was on or in the New Leaders Council cohort last year with Tanel Smith, and she's actually also from Henderson, which is where I'm from. So seeing her also nominated was really, really funny, but also really sweet. She's someone that I see doing a lot and really recognize that she's doing good work.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by the booth. I'm going to let you get back and get to networking and enjoy this wonderful ceremony that we have tonight at WUKY.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Ricochet effect, like
Yeah. We having conversation with no moderation. Love to the communities, the Ricochet effect. Having conversation with no moderation. Love to the communities, the Ricochet effect. Having conversation with no moderation.
Hi, this is Renee Cobb, and
I'm Dr. Abini El-Amin, and we are with the Ricochet Effect.
we are here at WUKY celebrating Women of Distinction for 2024. Next, we have Vera Mabson.
Well, hello there.
Hi. I am so excited that you're here tonight. And Vera is not only a woman of distinction tonight, but she is my friend. And I'm so happy to see my friends shine tonight. This is a very exciting event. Let me ask you, what does it mean for you to be here this evening at WUKY celebrating Women of Distinction?
Well, I've only done one other thing that I thought that was to this elevation, and I'm not going to say what that is, but this is one of the most important, most honorable things that has happened to me in years. I'm so happy to be here.
Vera is, first of all, tell us a little bit about how you would describe what you do, because I've called you the multi-potentialite, which means you're got multiple talents in a lot of areas of potential. So talk to us about some of those areas.
Okay, well, let me tell you what I do. First of all, I graduated from the University of Kentucky.
Go Cats.
With a psychology degree. So my heart lies in helping children. So from there, and from working for KET for many years as in the GED program, and working for the state under the umbrella office for Child Care Network. I moved on because this is education about children, right? And I moved on into actual K through 12 education, right? So for me, helping children has been what has really pushed me, and being able to be there for them, to counsel them. So that's part of it. Another part that I do is I have for the last 10 years, I'm not going to say how many, have been a custom drapery fabricator. And I have helped many offices and hospitals and homes in design. So I do that.
And that's a lost art, don't you think, these days?
It is. I had a conversation with somebody about that they are like 15 weeks behind because they can't find anybody to do this kind of work. Yeah. So I do that. And one of my biggest loves, as you probably know, Renee, is music. Music is so special to me, and I've been in the Positive Movement Band for about, I think it's like 15 years now. I started out singing with just a little small band, moved from there to the Mag 7, Trendales, sang with the Sensations and all the groups that were back in the day here in Lexington, Kentucky, and it was just fabulous. And I've sang at WUKY and in Louisville. Well, let's go back. My biggest honor was to sing at Obama's first inauguration.
Oh,
that was huge for me, and it's meant a lot to me. And that was the thing I was talking about when I said this is the second time that I've had this kind of honor. So I'm doing a lot of things. And lastly, I am putting together Lexington's first annual African American Music Awards. I'm working with some fabulous people, including you, Miss Renee, and I'm hopeful and prayerful that this will turn out to be one of the biggest things that happened to Lexington as far as the historic background for African American musicians and other people who have contributed to the community.
Absolutely. And what do you think? I mean, I know, but what would you say to the audience about the significance of, the name of your band is Positive Movement. I kind of see that's what you're doing right now with this awards program for African Americans and honoring recognition and acknowledgement and just, like you said, celebrating the rich history over a long course of time here, not just the last year.
Right. Lexington has been and still is full of so much talent.
Yes.
And some of the talent has passed on, but it's still significant to our community. So we want to acknowledge those people, tell what they did in the past, how they contributed to the community. We have the Lyric Theater. We want to talk about some of those things. We have local bands that are not recognized that much but have super talent that we want to bring forth and let people understand how great they are. We want to talk about the history of those bands and some of the people who are still here that have paved the way for the ones that are doing music right now. Yes. One of my people that I always talk about is Charles Little, Keith McCutcheon. Let's see, there's so many of them. There's so many, but we want to recognize what's going on in Lexington in the African American community with music, and maybe even move on to an African American museum that would house vendors, history about the music here. We could also have events there. So it's a big project, but we're going to work on it.
Well, it's an honor to be able to work with you in concert, as we say, on this amazing idea. And they always say necessity is the mother of invention. Well, definitely this is necessity right now. So what does it mean for you to be here tonight, and who are you looking forward to seeing? We've talked to some of the other women, and they know other people on the list. So
Well, I was happy to see Marilyn. I don't know a lot of the women, but I am so ecstatic to meet these women and to see what they do. Maybe I can do something with them. I don't know.
Yes.
We'll see.
that's
But
what it's all
This
about.
is exciting for me. This is exciting because I'm young and, I can do stuff.
You sure can. You're young and impressionable right now, right?
Right.
So thank you so much for taking time to stop in here and talk with us. And I'm going to let you get back to enjoying and networking with the others that are in the reception area right
Thank you
now.
so much, Renee.
Thank you.
All right.
We are here at WUKY celebrating Women of Distinction for 2024. And we have Cynthia Bong in the studio. And Cynthia, welcome so much to WUKY tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored, actually, and humbled to be here amongst this wonderful group of ladies.
Well, you've been very busy today, I hear. So tell us a little about what you do professionally and personally.
Yes, I'm the owner of Equus Run Vineyards and Saddlestone Distillery, and actually right now at this time of year, it's very, very busy. We're very involved in pruning, lots of bottling, and of course getting ready for Kentucky's horse racing season right around the corner here with Keeneland, and really getting the property all ready once again for another season of tourism and wonderful guests. This is our 26th year
Outstanding.
of being over in Woodford County.
Oh, how exciting. Well, let me ask you a couple of questions because we're going to talk to all the women of distinction tonight. Yes. But the first one I want to ask you is what or who inspired you towards your current career path? It looks like you've got a career path in the wine industry, and also you have a beautiful venue that a lot of us get to enjoy here in Central Kentucky. So who would you say, or what inspired you to go into that line of work?
So I spent 31 years. I spent 19 over in Europe. And I always said in Europe, you have wine with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it was just part of your whole culture. And it really opened my eyes up because I'm a Kentucky farm girl, so we didn't grow up drinking wine. Although I think my dad made that homemade wine, which was more like jet fuel, I think. I'm pretty sure it was. With 7 siblings, it had to be jet fuel after a long day. But that was something, it just really inspired me to come back to Kentucky and grow something. And we really researched it. And so now we have 38 acres of grapes along with a distillery. But I couldn't have done it without our community. And I really want to have a shout out to our community and my wonderful farm neighbors, because if it wasn't for them, I would have not been able to transform that farm into the winery and distillery that it is today.
Oh, it's just so outstanding. I just love hearing about your journey. Let me ask you, can you think of a memorable achievement or project that, as you reflect on being a woman of distinction, that you're particularly proud of?
I think, I can think back to my IBM career, a very male-dominated business, but I never once felt that it was really women against men, men against women, not at all, and not at all in my environment. But when I became an executive at IBM, and I finally, as I might say, finally achieved that rank and had all the support of my IBM teams and all of my mentors, that was an achievement for me. And I'm very, very thankful of all of my employees that worked with me because, once again, they're part of my fabric, that made me into what I am now today in a business world.
What does work-life balance, if it exists, mean to you? And I will just say that's the same reaction that we've had from almost everyone when we ask
Let me think on that. Okay, well, that was a quick thought. So work-life balance is, as a small business owner, is always a struggle. It is, but you have to carve out time for yourself. For me, it's very early in the morning, and I'm an early morning riser anyway, so I have to get up early. I like my coffee. I look outside. I cherish the outdoors, and I do the things that I like to do. But then also late in the evening, it's time for me to calm down, wind down, and you have to take that time. It's so easy to burn out, and I've experienced that over the years. Absolutely. I call those my reality check moments. And it's where that light is flashing, saying, you know what, you have family, you have friends, you have a life besides work. And it is a juggle. And I can honestly say I've not perfected that whatsoever on that balance.
We've had a few responses that said, "What's that?"
And I have to chuckle on that, right?
This is really, something we all have in common, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, just as a final question, what does it mean for you to be here this evening for this event and among all of these amazing women?
Well, first of all, like I said, I am so humbled and I'm honored. I was trying to tell one of my nieces that, I was being honored and recognized to be a woman of distinction, and she thought I said extinction. So I'm glad to be here. I'm very, very glad to be here, and I'm glad it's of distinction and not extinction. Okay. But also the group of women that's here, wow. Wow. I'm tickled pink. Look, I have goosebumps.
Do you know any of them?
Yes, I do,
Okay,
and I
so
can't
you've
wait
met a few?
to see them here. Yes,
Who
I
are
do.
you looking forward to seeing tonight?
Oh my goodness! Well, I know Angela, and also, of course, Anne. There was just the list of them. I can't wait to say hello and congratulations.
Well, congratulations to you, and we are so thankful that you've taken time out of your busy schedule to come and be with us, not only in honor of the work that you've done, but in honor of all these amazing women we're getting to see tonight.
Well, I want to thank you so much for the opportunity, and you know what? We love our NPR stations. Thank you. WUKY.
Greetings, all. This is Dr. Albini Elamine with the Ricochet Effect, and I am so excited. I am in the studio with Karen Czar. You know her very well because she is an award-winning journalist here at WUKY, and she is one of our nominees for the Women of Distinction. And the Women of Distinction are truly an amazing group. There were 13 nominees, and Karen is certainly one of those, as well as she should be, because she is a titan in the journalist and media community. How are you doing today, Karen?
I am great. Thank you so much.
It is wonderful to have you here in the studio on the other side of the room instead of actually being the interviewer.
And you make me sound so cool.
Oh, you are cool. You're more than amazing. So as a Woman of Distinction nominee, what does that title mean to you? Because you have received so many awards over the years in media, but what does being a woman of distinction mean to you?
This is the first time I've ever been acknowledged for anything like this. You know, a woman of the year, a woman of distinction, a woman of the community. And I was so flattered, but at the same time, I felt a little bit shy because I always think of myself as seeking out my next mentor and my next person to take me to the next direction, that I don't see myself in that way. And so I'm just incredibly flattered and honored.
Oh, well, you know what? It is our honor to welcome you into such a tribe of amazing professionals. So can you tell us about a significant challenge you faced in your career or personal life and how you overcame it?
Actually, the biggest would be just in the last 18 months. For those of you who have been listening on the air at WUKY, I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma. I started to get sick. It was actually 2 years ago to this date that I just wasn't feeling right. Things were off. I kept going to the doctor. I first landed in the emergency room because I thought my migraines were so bad. I thought I had a stroke. The pain was so bad. And it went away, and they couldn't really find anything, but the fatigue was still there. I was having memory loss, and nobody could really figure anything out. And luckily, my general practitioner was incredible. And
she knows me really well. She knows I'm not someone who is constantly in the doctor's office for every little thing. We probably wouldn't have known for a couple of years that I had cancer.
And that's the beauty of the she,
Mm-hmm.
because I heard you say she many times there.
She.
So the power of women, taking care of women, and even in healthcare. So actually, that's a powerful, powerful story of women supporting women. Every single day, you bring the power, the energy, so that we can be our best selves. And so it's about also re-energizing you so that you can continue to be the best version of yourself.
Thank you. I've won Reporter of the Year in Kentucky for the state of Kentucky probably about between 12 and 15 times in my career.
Oh, my. Wow.
But I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it for quite a while. Several like Spot News Story wins or Best Political Reporter, things like that. I think the biggest feather in the cap has been the Edward R. Murrows. I'm so proud of those because not that the Kentucky Broadcaster isn't just as mean as much, because we're chosen by people within our industry for the entire state. But what's so interesting about the Murrows is it's region-wide. So we're competing against several other states. And then it goes to nationals. Then you're competing against the entire country. So it's always interesting to see the perception from other parts of the country about our work. Because I think of what I've been through in the last year, I really want to focus on making sure I am there for any woman who contacts me, and many already have, who are going through health issues, who have been through something similar as me. They were told, this is all in your head, or you're fine, or we can't find anything, so we're giving up. I don't want people to give up on their health. I was talking about the interview I did earlier with Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman, who just went through her own cancer scare. Fortunately, it was not, but she went through a double mastectomy, and she shared that on the air, and she actually just sent a beautiful thank you that she appreciated that I did it while I was going through my own health crisis. And but that's part of it. I share my story. She shares her story. Someone already contacted me and said they heard her story on the air and they've scheduled their mammogram. That's what it's about. And I want to make sure that no one that comes in contact with me ever again says, I'm sick and nobody believes me. And I can't find anyone to believe me, because I'll tell you, I hear you, I see you, and I believe you.
Marilyn Clark is the Economic Inclusion Manager for the University of Kentucky, where she works across the enterprise to increase spending with diverse suppliers. She works closely with the procurement team, project managers, and departments to introduce minority, women, veterans, disabled, and LGBTQ-owned businesses into the WUKY supply chain. In addition, Ms. Clark leads the Equitable Economic Development Committee, a subcommittee of the University of Kentucky's Economic Development Collaborative. Prior to joining the University of Kentucky in January 2021, Marilyn worked in supplier diversity at the Lexington Fayette Urban County Government and Fayette County Public Schools. She is the former Vice President and Station Manager for WLEX-TV, the NBC affiliate in Lexington, and she has also worked in television management in Dallas, Philadelphia, and Birmingham prior to moving to Lexington. Marilyn was recently appointed to the Fayette County Public Schools Board of Education in District 1. So Marilyn, we're so glad to have you on the Ricochet Effect today. Can you tell us about a significant challenge you faced in your career or personal life, and also talk about how you overcame it?
First of all, I want to say thank you for having me, and thank you for recognizing women and their accomplishments in the community. So that means a lot. When it comes to career challenges, I think that one of the things that the pandemic taught us is that we can always make changes, right? And so career challenges are sort of like things I put into a category of, can I change this? Can I not change this? The Serenity Prayer. So things that I cannot change, and I feel like I'm at a standstill with that particular position, I can always change it.
So to me, you have that option. The challenges in life that I face, however, are around people. If I lose someone, that's really important to me, and that's happening quite a bit these days. I've lost half my family. So to me, those are the real challenges in life that we face.
Well, you have an extensive bio, and we could not be more proud to have you in the studio with us. So, what inspired you to pursue your current career path and or advocacy work?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Failure sometimes can inspire you to do different things, right? Sometimes we just want to stay where we are, and that was not the case. So before I got into my current position with the University of Kentucky, my first life was in broadcasting. So when I came here, I was station manager at WLEX. And when that position, we sold the station, that position went away, I was, I don't have a job. What am I going to do? And so they sent me to one of those places where they help you outplacement. And so the lady that was there, who was a friend of mine now, Beverly, she said, why don't you start a business? And I thought, oh, really? And I did. I just started a business. And that business went on for a number of years, and then the bottom fell out of the market, right? So another failure. I had to close up shop, let go of the one person I had, move out of my office, and I go, okay, here's another phase in life. And I became the first person to serve in the role of Minority Business Coordinator for the city of Lexington, LFUCG, and that's how I got started.
Let's talk about pressing issues or barriers for women's advancement from your perspective. And how do you go about working to address those barriers?
You know, one of the things that I believe strongly is in mentorship. So women still have the same issues we've had for many years about equal pay, opportunities, having a seat at the table, being heard. Those things still exist. But I have this notebook, and the cover of it says, "Empowered women empower women." And I think when we empower each other and give back to women in a special way, we can help prepare them for some of the challenges that they face, prepare them for what work is really like. And so I just believe in that concept of community and empowerment for women to deal with challenges that we may face in the workplace.
And could I ask you just a final question? Final Jeopardy question here, Beanie. How do you envision a platform of like women of distinction to influence and create positive change for other women and also girls in the future?
Right. I believe in the power of storytelling.
Oh,
I think
yes.
storytelling is extremely powerful, and I think young people need to hear our stories. And they need to understand that people that you see in a certain position, it took some work to get there. It didn't happen automatically. It didn't happen overnight. But there is a process. There is a process to getting things done. And when you understand that, it becomes, eye-opening for you to be able to walk through a door that you didn't think that you could walk through. And also to be able to go to somebody, again, that mentoring, and says, you can do this. I would love to see more women own their own businesses. That is one of my missions. I see a lot of men in business, especially minorities, and I would love to see women because we're leading families. We're examples. We need more finances. And there are a lot of fields that we can go into if we're not afraid.
Like I said, we honor the work that you do in our community, and you are a true woman of distinction. And I will tell you, you were not handpicked by just one person. You were handpicked by a committee of people along with the other 4 highlighted women. But there are 13 total women that were nominated, and we are going to make sure that we celebrate all of them in the month of March. So thank you for being here on the Ricochet Effect.
Thank you. I can't wait to meet them. Yes. I mean, connection is everything,
Yes,
right?
it is.
Connection
Yes, it
is
is.
everything.
Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Claudia Love Meyer is the author of 13 books, including the upcoming Morning Pages from Broadleaf Books. She holds an MFA in writing from Spalding University and is the coordinator for the Carnegie Center's Kentucky Black Writers Collaborative. Claudia Love is also the co-host of the Abbey of the Arts Lift Every Voice Book Club, which features books in the Christian contemplative tradition of BILPOC authors. Claudia Love's mission is to amplify marginalized voices, although her work at the Carnegie Center focuses on elevating Black voices. In 3 years, the KBWC has put dozens of Black writers on stage, shared their work with thousands of listeners through a partnership with WUKY Public Radio, and welcomed hundreds to the Carnegie Center for in-person events and hosted the first Black poet laureates, Frank X. Walker and Crystal Wilkerson, as well as Silas House, the first openly poet laureate. After losing her son to an overdose in 2021, Claudia Love realized she had a gift for comforting those who are grieving the loss of a loved one. In January of 2024, she began studies with the Guided Spiral Death Keepers Certificate Program to be a death doula that specializes in working with the Black community. Claudia lives and works in Lexington with her daughter and her 2 cats. Start off by telling us a little bit about yourself. We heard the bio at the beginning of the show, but from your perspective, talk to us and walk us through your career journey and your professional life.
Well, I'm a mom, and that has been probably the most rewarding as well as the most challenging thing I've ever done. I have one son who he still has a severe mental illness and a traumatic brain injury. He's doing great, by the way, and it was really difficult dealing with those major challenges. He also struggled with drug addiction. And my oldest son, my firstborn, also struggled with drug addiction, and he succumbed in 2021 of an overdose. So, yes, parenting is the hardest job I've ever loved. But beyond that, I am a working writer, currently finishing 2 books. Love my work at the Carnegie Center, which we'll talk more about. And just out here trying to help people as much as I can. A lot of the characters in my novel were really people who were struggling. Specifically, my novel, Wounded, a love story. That one was about a main character who had stigmata, the 5 wounds of Christ. And but she was already stigmatized because she had mental illness and because she had a chronic pain disease that made her life very difficult. She was also poor and a single mom, which I gave her a lot of my life.
Yes.
I had a reviewer say, she's got fibromyalgia and bipolar disorder. That's a lot. And I was thinking when I read that, yeah, tell me about it. So I knew that my story was important, that it's important for all marginalized people to write about their struggle. And because mental health, or mental illness rather, has such a stigma around it, very, very much so in the Black community and even other marginalized communities. It just, period. There's stigma related to mental illness. And so I felt like my book, it didn't sell well, but it was very important. And, who knows what will come of it. I knew that I would get rejection after rejection. The book is about my younger son's accident. He jumped off the top of the parking structure at Shorten and Broadway. And it was so traumatic, not just to him, but to me as his mom, that I knew I had to write about it, but I had no idea. I had only written, Christian books, novels, and things like that. And not to say that there's no spirituality in Don't You Fall Now, but it was very, very different from my previous work. But I had a 7-year writing desert where I didn't write anything and kind of lost my writer identity. And so Don't You Fall Now was published by a friend of mine who had a small indie publishing house. Some people in their suffering become very bitter. Some people in their suffering completely shut down. I'm a writer. I'm a person. Like I said, I told Jesus, I'll tell people like me that you love them. And while my grief writing did not do that, it was mostly telling my own story. Morning Pages actually does. Morning Pages, I literally say, hey, I'm going to be your companion and walk you through this because I know how hard it is. So that's one way that my work my life has inspired my work. And I just hope it always does. I hope it always connects together. I have extensively studied Black culture. In fact, I haven't forgotten the death doula question.
That's okay. We're getting there. This is fascinating. And also, you're so courageous.
Well, people say that, but I don't really feel courageous. I just feel like many Black women, I got to get up. I'm single. I got to do what I got to do to survive. And so much of it was just surviving. But because I was walking people through grief, more people came to me for that. And I went to more people.
Well, you've talked a lot within our context of our conversation about advice for other women that are in your field. Let's just kind of end by asking you how you envision using your platform or your influence to create positive change for women and also girls in the future.
I want women and girls to know that we have the power to push back against systems that will try to hold us down. My work is to raise the voice of women and men who have been marginalized, even children. We had our Juneteenth Poetry Slam last year, and a 13-year-old won third place. I think she won $250. And this was against some of the top slam poets in Kentucky. So I want to elevate voices. We do that at the Carnegie Center, but I, outside of that platform, want to do that every day. I want to tell people, hey, your voice matters. I also want to tell people who struggle with mental illness, your voice matters. If I could not find 10 memoirs written by Black people about their struggle with mental illness, that means a lot more stories need to be told. Mental illness doesn't care what your race is or your age. It is something that affects everyone. So I want to elevate those kind of voices. Last year, after Silas House was inducted as the Poet Laureate, once he was appointed, there was a tremendous pushback from conservatives because he is openly gay. We pushed back against the pushback by having the queer literary hoedown. And we didn't have money for that because we are a nonprofit. It could be a year out when our budget for the next year is established. We had no money for it. We got some donations from like L8 to give us food, and Ross Ewing and his partner also gave us money to buy food. And somehow we convinced 9 of the best queer poets in Kentucky, 9, to come out and share their poetry as an act of resistance. And it was amazing.
Jennifer Reynolds loves meeting new people and working with diverse populations. She was elected to the 11th District's Urban County Council in November 2018. She was the outreach director with Bluegrass Youth Ballet after starting a bilingual outreach program in the 11th District's Valley Park in 2013. Jennifer is also fluent in Spanish and a qualified medical interpreter. Jennifer grew up in Central Kentucky and has traveled extensively. She lived in Central Mexico for 4 years, where she enjoyed using her background in anthropology to do community outreach. She cultivated relationships to work with children, taught educational classes in Spanish, held small groups in her home, and owned a CrossFit gym. Jennifer is a working mom and juggles multiple undertakings. Being active in her community, Jennifer loves attending local events, shopping, and eating at neighborhood businesses. Jennifer enjoys focusing her efforts on serving the city as council member for the 11th District. And Jennifer, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started on talking about your journey.
First of all, thank you both so much for having me here. It's a true honor. I feel inspired by the work that you all are doing and encouraging other women. So thank you. I grew up here in Central Kentucky, moved around a lot before age 6, and then landed in Jessamine County. I lived in a town with a university and a seminary, and my father was a psychology professor. And my mom, after teaching public school, decided to stay home with my brother and myself and homeschool us. And so I spent a lot of time taking ballet classes, coming in and out of Lexington, mostly for those classes. I became a professional ballet dancer after high school for attending college. I remember that was a very hard decision to go through all of that. And then ended up going to school, decided that ballet was too vain and too cutthroat for me, and that I really just wanted to help people. And so I decided to, in college, pursue doing work overseas and doing community outreach work, and studied anthropology and Spanish and cross-cultural communication with an emphasis in Latin American culture and religion. While I was running that program, a former council member and other people in the community approached me about running for council, which I thought was crazy at the time because I had never in a million years thought about getting involved in politics or becoming an elected official. I was, getting ready to turn 35. I just thought it wasn't for me. But a lot of people convinced me that really on a local level you can make a difference because somehow I thought that politicians don't really make a difference. And I saw how the former council member in my district really was making a difference, and that maybe it was possible to make change in local politics. So I remember listening to a podcast. I was very scared, and I listened to a podcast. I decided I was not going to do it. And then the person said, "We don't know what we're missing when we don't take risks. And the only thing we have to lose is really just finding out that it wasn't for us or that someone was going to say no." And I thought, if the only thing I have to lose is losing an election, then I'm not losing anything because I'm just right back where I started. But if I take this risk, I might be able to accomplish things I never thought possible and help people in a larger way than I was at the time. And I thought, why not? I'm going to go for it. And so I decided to run, and that was at the end of 2017. I ran in 2018, and I didn't know I was going to run against 4 other people, including a former council member. I ended up winning that seat and started on council in 2019, and here I am starting my 6th year. It's crazy.
Wow, what a wonderful story and journey.
Angela C. Evans made history in 2022 when she was sworn in as the first African-American county attorney in Kentucky. A native of Lexington, Evans is the Fayette County Attorney. With a heart for service and justice, Angela works to ensure political candidates, businesses, and individuals abide by the same rules and are treated fairly by the Commonwealth of Kentucky. With more than 2 decades of service as a lawyer and public official, Angela provides a deep and proven understanding of policy and the legislative process to her role as county attorney. She previously served as the 6th District Council member on the Lexington-Fayette Urban County Government Council for 3 elected terms. Elected in 2015, Angela became only the 2nd woman of color to serve on the council. A voice of reason, always ready to ask difficult questions and addressing challenging issues, Angela garnered national attention in 2018 while addressing the removal of the Confederate statues from downtown. Her effective and eloquent remarks to urge her fellow council members to relocate the statues led to an invitation to appear on MSNBC Live with Hallie Jackson to discuss how Lexington navigated a divisive topic with civility. We've talked a lot about, I think it's been like gold mining for advice, and Dr. Alameen has said we've picked up a lot of different nuggets and we've discovered some real gold here. But how do you envision using the platform that you have right now or influence to create positive change for women and even girls in the future?
Good and tough question, too. I could say in general, simply just doing the best that I can in the role that I'm in. And knowing that, creating a plan, knowing what I want from the office, the first thing being, like I said, the annual report, and being able to bring it to fruition and show that it can be done. One, politicians keep their word. That's something that was very important to me, and something one of my colleagues, said jokingly, but it was like, that is the point, to show that politicians can keep their word, but continue to keep my word and continue to put my plan into action. It's been an interesting first year. So we're still setting the plan in motion, creating the plan, and just doing the best that I can in it. And when there are things that come up, being the best county attorney and providing the best services that I can, that the office can for the county. I think that's part of being a role model, is just because, and I always tell people and said it on the campaign trail, you don't know, anyone in Fayette County or outside can find themselves coming into my office, whether it's a speeding ticket, someone they know got in trouble, or they need guardianship for someone, they're behind in their property taxes, but doing my best to make sure that their experience is as good as it can be, even when you perhaps are on the wrong side. But knowing that if you are the defendant, that I've hired people, I have a staff that are going to seek justice and who are going to be fair and who understand life's trickiness and all of the things that can get people into those situations. And that we're looking for justice and balancing out all of the factors. And then knowing that, we're collecting child support to help families. It's not just to get after someone. It's a long answer to talk about, being a role model, but I think that's just going to be my purpose, my goal, and hopefully I do a good job at it so people can see that. And just doing the best that I can, because again, I think history's going to, your presidents always talk about, well, history will determine how good of a president I was. I can do some things, I can do some projects, but, I think just me doing my best to not just elevate the office, elevate my employees, and again, bring back some of that transparency and let people know that government is here to serve and to serve to the best of our ability is really kind of the best I can do, and just have people know that I'm trying to work on it every day to do that and relay that to them in a way that they can see it and at least understand that, well, she's trying. We're not going to succeed every day. Every day we're trying to get better and do better.
I just feel so blessed and honored just to sit back and listen and to reflect on my own life and my own leadership. And there's no singular ingredient list for a woman of distinction, is there?
No.
So, I'm just listening to what you're saying about the office of the attorneys, and it's integrity is what's
Yeah.
coming to mind.
Mhm.
It's just bringing back integrity to that office and to that space, and then eventually, everything that you do in public service is truly about the community and providing a legacy. And what I'm really getting out of everything that has been shared today is that, Angela, you are not just a legacy. You're not living a legacy in perpetuity. You're living a legacy every single day. You're creating that legacy every single day. And so, again, we thank you. We honor you. We look forward to working with you at Project Ricochet and at WUKY for the future and in many endeavors in years to come. Well, we've come to the close of another amazing podcast. I'd like to thank our listeners. I'd like to thank our guest. And as we say here at WUKY, we can't do it without our community. And just keep in mind that DEIB is the DNA of humanity.
It's the Ricochet effect. Ricochet effect.